I used to believe manipulation arrived loudly, that it slammed doors or raised voices or left bruises you could photograph. It doesn't. Sometimes it just asks about acreage. Our ranch sits 2 miles outside town, nothing dramatic about it, flat pasture, a stubborn windmill, fencing that always needs repair. My father ran cattle here. My husband fixed tractors here. After he passed, I kept it running with hired help in sheer refusal. When Emily brought Daniel home the first time, he stood at the fence line longer than anyone ever had. He didn't ask about her childhood stories. He asked about mineral rights. I laughed, told him there weren't any worth mentioning. At dinner, he asked if the property was deeded solely in my name. I said yes. He asked if it was in a trust. I said no. He nodded slowly, like he was storing something. I told myself he was practical. He started visiting more often. He liked walking the perimeter. He liked asking about water access, grazing permits, zoning restrictions. Just curious, he'd say. Emily used to fill silence with chatter. Around him, she listened more than she spoke. The first time, he corrected her. That's not quite what your mom said about the North Field. She smiled and let it go. I let it go too. Engagement came quickly, 6 months. Daniel said, when you know, you know. He suggested hosting the wedding at the ranch, said it symbolized unity. Blending assets, he joked once. Blending. He talked about moving onto the property temporarily, about updating the main house, about restructuring land use to maximize long term value. I remember the way he said control casually, mid sentence like it belonged there. Emily began asking if I had considered downsizing, if I'd thought about transferring ownership early to simplify inheritance. That word inheritance has a temperature when spoken by the wrong person. I didn't confront him. I didn't accuse him. I went to a lawyer instead. Quietly, I transferred the ranch into a family land trust with strict protections. It couldn't be used as marital collateral. It couldn't be leveraged through a spouse. Control remained solely with me unless I chose otherwise. I told no one except the attorney and the county clerk who filed the paperwork. Daniel continued asking questions. I continued answering vaguely. The wedding day arrived, warm and windless. White chairs lined the pasture. The arch faced west toward fields that had seen 3 generations of stubborn survival. Emily looked beautiful, not glowing, composed. When she hugged me before walking down the aisle, her hand pressed something into my palm. I thought it was a tissue. At the altar, just before the vows, I unfolded it. Mom, help me. No explanation, no dramatics, just that. There are moments when panic would be easier. Panic gives you permission to react loudly. I felt something steadier instead. I stood. The officiant paused. 100 heads turned. I apologize, I said, my voice even. Before this continues, there's a legal clarification that needs to be made regarding the property hosting this ceremony. Daniel blinked. This isn't necessary. It is, I said. Near the third row sat Mr. Halpern from the county office. Most people assumed he was there to notarize post ceremony documents. That had been Daniel's idea. He walked forward when I nodded. I filed a land trust transfer 3 months ago, I said clearly, so there would be no confusion. The ranch is now legally protected. It cannot be merged, claimed, or leveraged through marriage. It remains under sole control as outlined in the trust. A murmur rippled through the chairs. Daniel's posture shifted first. Just slightly, then more. I don't understand why this is being brought up, he said, calm but thin. Because you asked about it, I replied, replated repeatedly, in detail, often in privately. Mr. Halpern spoke next. His voice carried the weight of bureaucracy, unemotional, unmistakable. The trust is active and recorded. No spousal claim would apply under its structure. There it was. Not accusation, not opinion, fact. Daniel looked at Emily. Is this what you wanted? Her hands were trembling. She stared at the ground. I stepped closer to her, not him. You don't have to continue, I said quietly. The silence stretched. Daniel exhaled sharply. This is humiliating. Not heartbreaking, not devastating, humiliating. Emily lifted her veil slowly. Her voice was small, but clear. I asked for time. You said we didn't need it. That's because doubts are normal, he replied quickly. You don't cancel a wedding over nerves. She looked at him then, not with anger, but recognition. I don't want to sign anything today, she said. There was no applause, no cinematic gasp, just guests shifting, unsure where to look. The officiant stepped back. Mr. Halpern stepped back. Authority had done its part. It had made something visible. Daniel's composure cracked, not violently, but revealingly. So this is about money? You think I'm after land? I said carefully, that love doesn't rush paperwork. He had no answer for that. Emily walked down the aisle without him. The chairs emptied slowly. People avoided my eyes. Some offered quiet squeezes of support. Most left quickly. Daniel gathered his things in tight, efficient movements. He did not shout. He did not apologize. He left dust behind his tires as he drove off the property. That night, Emily sat at the kitchen table long after the guests were gone. I thought if I waited, she said, I'd feel certain. Did he ever threaten you? I asked. No, she hesitated. He just rearranged things, conversations, timelines, decisions. It was always logical. Logical can be a cage. She moved back into her old room for a while, not defeated, just recalibrating. The wedding deposits were partially lost. Some relationships cooled. There were whispers in town about dramatics and overprotective mothers. The ranch remained unchanged. Fence still broken in the south pasture. Windmill still stubborn. Months later, Emily started speaking differently again, interrupting, disagreeing, laughing louder. We never discussed Daniel in detail after that, not because it was forbidden, because it no longer required analysis. What mattered wasn't exposing him as a villain. It was removing leverage before it hardened into control. Sometimes rescue isn't pulling someone away, it's standing up calmly in front of everyone and making the rules visible. The ranch still stands, so does she, quietly.